All right, welcome back to the channel. Man, these people never stop. You UK folk talking about Deontay Wilder's ticket sales and promotions, and how well the promotion's doing and all that stuff, sitting way across the world, acting like you know something. It's the same thing over and over and over again every time Deontay Wilder fights. Are you guys ever going to get sick of this? Let's talk about this nonsense in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. All right, man, we're going to cut right to this. I'm watching a lot of UK, a lot of reports out of the UK, channels out of the UK. They shall remain nameless, and they will always remain nameless on my channel. But I do creep around and go look at them every once in a while, and sometimes I'll see the headline of something that sounds silly, and I'll go into the video just to make sure that it's actually as silly as what the title to this nonsense is. And Showfire, it's right there. It's just as silly as I thought it was going to be. The idea, let's go through this. First of all, Deontay Wilder is fighting Tyson Fury on a joint promotion between Fox and ESPN. Now, if you're from the UK or you're not from the United States, those are the two largest sport networks in the United States. The two biggest, Fox and ESPN. Jointly promoting this fight. There is something called the Super Bowl. Now, you guys have football in the UK, football around the world, but football here is not F-U-T-B-O-L, it's F-O-O-T-B-A-L-L, and you have a little oblong ball, and we have this thing called the championship game. It was called the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is watched by about 100 million people. Okay, just round it to 100 million people. That is about one out of three people in the United States are watching the Super Bowl. Okay, 100 million people watch that event. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury was promoted at that event in a time slot that would usually cost about $5.9 million for a 30-second clip at the Super Bowl. They advertised a fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury on that show. So the idea that it is being poorly promoted is ludicrous, to say the least. Ludicrous, to say the least. And I have heard a lot of ludicrous things said about Deontay Wilder in the past. But my goodness gracious, it is being poorly promoted. How many more people do you have to tell about the fight than having 9 million people watch that time slot? What do you want? Is there anything that Deontay Wilder can ever do that is good enough? Ever? I have been listening to people from the UK. I've been listening to UK people and people from channels in the United States. My dog is going nuts, but I'm just going to get through this with my dog. Zeus! I have heard people from the UK say some of the most ridiculous things. I had to take a break because the dog's driving me nuts. I lost my train of thought. I've heard people say for 5 straight fights that Deontay Wilder's not won a round that he hasn't either knocked somebody down or knocked somebody out in. 5 straight fights. They cannot find. There are rounds in Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury where literally nothing happens, but somehow Deontay Wilder lost a round without a doubt. You have Deontay Wilder is now, watch this, on his 3rd pay-per-view. Third. And we're talking about Fox and ESPN. If Fox and ESPN, they do sports better than anybody else, as well or better than anybody else in the world. They know what an event is and why they would want to put on an event. They're just not going to put on any old thing because somebody tells them to. Okay, they're not DAZN. Okay, they're not DAZN. They've got plenty of sports that they can cover, and they only want, especially Fox, want the premium fights. They know what the numbers were for Showtime. They know what the numbers were for Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, versus Luis Ortiz, and they actually bragged about the numbers and how they felt that was a world-class fight that they were proud of having aired. They said that it reached the thresholds that they wanted. And they are now doing it again and spending and putting airtime worth $6 million to promote it. If they had some or seen some track record of failure out of Deontay Wilder, why in the world would they put that type? Why would they, number one, why would they put the fight on? And number two, why would they give that time slot to a fight that they thought was not going to live up to their expectations, especially in considering that they already have a track record with them? Why would they do that? It's $6 million for 30 seconds, and they use that time to promote the fight. That means they have, at least in their opportunity cost, at the very least, that's $6 million that they put into the investment for that for 30 seconds. But somehow Fox does a terrible promotion on the part of Fox. You guys are jokes, man. I mean, that's it. You guys go from just saying things that are just, okay, maybe you could argue, well, Deontay Wilder, he's wild. His punches are coming from all over the place. His ankles are skinny. To just, you go from that type of stuff where, hey, you want to have a conversation about whether or not he needs to straighten out his punches. Okay. If you want to have conversations about, how good a fighter Luis Ortiz and what his age was, okay, whatever. You can have the conversation. But when you guys just start going into stuff that is absolutely patently stupid, it makes the other type of conversation that you want to have that much more difficult to respect. To respect you enough to even have. People have been talking about, nobody knows. Does anybody know Deontay Wilder now? Okay, does anybody know Deontay Wilder now? Well, nobody knows Deontay Wilder. Okay, he was in a commercial for his fight with Tyson Fury, and 9.3 million people saw it. How can you not be known or heard of if 9.3 million people watched you do something? Let alone, and just ignore the fact that the guy has been a million people watch him fight every time he fights. Every time. If it's not the actual pay-per-view that did 300,000, 350,000, the actual fight itself is then watched. The replay of that fight is watched by many, 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 many people. Okay, you have guys like Jamal Charlo, who had 2 million, roughly, was it 1.7 million people watched him on Fox? You telling me that these 1.6 million people that would watch Tony Harrison on Fox don't know who Deontay Wilder is, and Deontay Wilder is unknown? It's just absolute. You guys are just ridiculous, and you need to stop. You keep talking. I've listened to you guys talk about how it's not that big of Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence Jr. is not that big a fight. I'm like listening, like, are you serious? Do you just leave the U.S. boxing, leave this part about U.S. boxing alone? Okay. Talking about what Americans want to see and what Americans know. All right. Just leave it alone. Okay. Because you clearly and obviously do not know what you're talking about. To say that Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury is poorly promoted is flat out unadulterated stupidity. It's even if the fight, because you know what's coming next. You know what's coming next. They did 30 pay-per-views. It did 30 pay-per-views. That's Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn for like 5 or 6 straight fights have said Deontay Wilder sold 6,000 tickets. Oh, and that's another thing. They're struggling ticket sales. Do you realize there are people calling me that are going to Las Vegas that have not been in fights in years? I'm getting calls on my phone with people saying, hey, I got to ask you a question. What do you think about this? Who's the better pure boxer, Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua? Why would they be having that conversation? Because they're asking about Deontay Wilder. They know and they're planning to go to the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight. I'm having people just call me on the phone about that. And these are people that are not deeply into the sport of boxing. How come Deontay, every time you see a Deontay Wilder fight, there's a whole stadium full of people, but somehow you morons are stuck on it being 5,000 people in the room. I've never heard from anybody that, well, you know, they comped the tickets. They comped the tickets. He's in Las Vegas again. This is on pay-per-view again. But hey, man, don't let what you see when you look into that stadium and you see all those people and all those seats filled with people that are paying money to the casino, people that are gambling at the casino, people that are drinking, and people that are eating in the stadium, and act like them sitting in that seat is not generating any money. It's just you guys are just ridiculous, and I wish you'd stop. Really frustrating, but it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. With that, I'm out. Peace.